And good afternoon. I trust everyone has had a very delicious lunch and or is having a very delicious lunch. We will be having sort of a bit of a working lunch as we move in to the next segment of today's hybrid workshop. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I am Miss Arita Phillip. I am the Associate Program Specialist for Communication and Information, a UN volunteer, national one, working with the UNESCO Regional Office for the Caribbean.
And we're going to begin with a session on enhancing student engagement and communicating remotely in real time. Today's first presentation is going to be led by Ms. Latoya Honore, who is the head of the Special Education Needs Department at the Sir Novell Richards Academy within the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology in Antigua and Barbuda. And I would like you to give her some applause and please welcome her as she joins us on the stage to make her presentation on enhancing student engagement. Ms. Honore, welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Phillip. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the incredible work you have done throughout this school year. Today's session is designed to send you into the summer break with practical tools that can make teaching more engaging, inclusive, and manageable when we return in September. We will explore digital tools that work seamlessly with Google Classroom and support diverse learners while increasing student participation and engagement. Slide 2, please. Today, we will explore why student engagement matters, what research tells us about effective learning, and 3 digital tools that can support engagement in any classroom. You will have opportunities to see these tools in action, experience them as learners, and begin thinking about how they can fit into your own teaching practice. We will conclude with reflection and action planning so that you leave with a clear next step for implementation. Slide 3. Our goal today is to explore practical tools that help students become active participants in learning. By the end of this workshop, you will be able to identify digital tools that increase engagement, understand how they support diverse learners, and apply them within Google Classroom. These tools are grounded in the principles of the Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. UDL encourages us to provide multiple ways for students to access information, engage with learning, and demonstrate understanding. While today's workshop is not specifically about UDL, you will notice that each tool helps us put those principles into practice by giving students more opportunities to participate, succeed, and show what they know. Next slide, please. Student engagement is one of the strongest predictors of academic success. When students are actively involved in learning, they are more likely to participate, retain information, and achieve positive outcomes. This aligns closely with SDG 4 quality education, which emphasizes inclusive and equitable learning opportunities for all students. Engagement is not simply about making lessons fun. It is about ensuring that every student has meaningful access to learning. Next slide. Research consistently shows that students learn more effectively when they are actively engaged in the learning process. interactive learning experiences, immediate feedback, opportunities for collaboration, and student voice all contribute to improved achievement and motivation. The evidence is clear. Students who participate actively are more likely to understand concepts, retain knowledge, and apply what they have learned. The tools we explore today are designed to support those evidence-based practices. Next slide, please. Before we explore the tools, let's take a moment to reflect on our own experiences. Think about your students this year. What engagement challenges have you observed? What strategies have worked well? As you participate in this poll, consider the barriers that sometimes prevent students from fully engaging in learning. These responses will help connect today's tools to real classroom needs. All right, so we will look at the poll results in a few. Next slide. Every student deserves opportunities to succeed, participate, and contribute. Technology can help us remove barriers and expand those opportunities. The tools we will explore today are not designed to replace effective teaching. Instead, they help us amplify what we already do well by increasing student participation, providing immediate feedback, supporting accessibility, and creating more opportunities for student voice. The right digital tool can often be the difference between a student watching learning happen and a student actively engaging in it. Next slide. Our first tool is ClassPoint. ClassPoint transforms a traditional PowerPoint presentation into an interactive learning experience. Students can participate anonymously, receive immediate feedback, and engage without switching between multiple tabs or platforms. Features such as audio support assist struggling readers, while visual timers help students manage tasks and remain focused. Because it works both face-to-face and online, ClassPoint is flexible enough to support a variety of teaching environments. Next slide. This short video demonstrates how ClassPoint works in practice. As you watch, pay attention to how seamlessly interactive questions are embedded into PowerPoint and how quickly teachers can gather responses from students. Consider how these features could improve engagement and provide immediate checks for understanding in your own lessons. Please play.
PowerPoint is an interactive teaching add-in for Microsoft PowerPoint, and in this video I will walk you through its user interface. Once you have ClassPoint installed, it will appear on your PowerPoint ribbon as a tab. Click Sign In to start. If you are new to ClassPoint, create your free account from here. After a successful sign-in, you will have access to all the icons shown on the ribbon. They are useful when you need to prepare your slides or review your presentations after class. Now let's start our presentation. In slideshow mode, you can see the ClassPoint toolbar with annotation and student engagement tools to aid your interactive presentations. The class code is displayed at the top right corner for your students to join and participate in your presentations throughout the class. Notice that you can toggle on or off the toolbar or class code display from the slideshow options in the ClassPoint tab. By default, they are both checked. This concludes my brief overview of the ClassPoint user interface.
Thank you. All right, let's move. Thank you. Quizzes. Quizzes, now known as Wayground, transforms assessments into an engaging learning experience. Students receive immediate feedback, can work at their own pace, and benefit from accessibility features such as read aloud options. The platform helps students feel comfortable making mistakes, reduces assessment anxiety, and can be used for homework, intervention, review activities, and formative assessment. An added benefit is its direct integration with Google Classroom, where assignments can be distributed easily and grades can sync automatically. Next slide, please. This brief video highlights how Quizzes engages students while providing valuable information for teachers. Notice how the platform combines fun, accessibility, and accountability. As you watch, think about how this tool could support both learning and assessment in your classroom. Please play.
Quizzes helps teachers save time. Here's how it works. First, create a new quiz, or mix and match millions of teacher-created questions. Next, students play at their own pace, in class or at home. Every learner competes to improve, and retakes are a cinch. While students play, Quizzes handles the grading. Instantly, you see what each student has mastered, know where they can improve, and share their progress with tools like Google Classroom. Find a quiz now. It's free.
Okay, next slide. I will now demonstrate how Quizzes integrates directly with Google Classroom. Please pay close attention to how assignments can be distributed quickly and how accommodations can be assigned to individual students. Features, again, such as read aloud support, extended time, and differentiated settings allow us to meet diverse learning needs while maintaining high expectations for all students. Please play. Welcome. In this tutorial, I will show you how to create a simple grade 4 science assignment on living things using Wayground, formerly Quizzes, and then post it to Google Classroom. First, open Wayground. Sign in with your Google account. Then, click on Dashboard. Next, click Create a Quiz. You will be directed to a new page. At the bottom of the page, there will be some options. Click the one you wish to create: assessment, presentation, video, passage, or flashcards. Let us click Assessment. In the top left-hand corner, where it says Untitled Quiz, let us click that. Then we are going to input the correct information: name, living things, subject, science, grade 4, language, English, and save. Next, add your question type. We begin with multiple choice. Click multiple choice. Type in the question. Put in your options. Then select the correct response by ticking in the circle. You can change the point value, the time for each question, and then save it. You do not need to use one type of question throughout the assessment. You can click Create Question or Add Question and change the question type. We've used multiple choice. Now let us click on Fill in Blanks. Now we add food would be the answer that the students will have to fill in. Where it says hint, we can give the students a little boost. And by asking a question, what do we eat to stay alive? Once you're finished, you check over, you can change the point, you can change the time, you can add an answer explanation if you wish to. You can do so in the form of a video, in the form of an image, or in the form of text. Then save your question. Let's click Preview Quiz. This is how our students will be able to see the quiz, so we know it is exactly how we want it. We close it down, we click Publish. Once this page loads, then we have different things that we can do here. We can save it, we can edit, we can share with teachers or with our students. We can download it as a worksheet, or we can simply assign it. Let us click Assign. We can determine the start and the end time. Let us click 1 week. Then we go down and we are going to click Testing, because we want to test to see how our children will perform. Each student will get to attempt it once. Once we have clicked Assign, we are going to go to Google Classroom to share. We select our class with our students. We're going to identify which students. All right, all 3 of our students will participate. When we click on Manage Classes, here comes the accommodations, right? Because we want to ensure that each of our students have the necessary tools for them to be successful. You click on the icon with your students. You click Modify Accommodations. When the page loads, you're going to add the necessary accommodation for each student. So you click the student that you wish to add accommodations for. For instance, Jordane. So we have 3 accommodations for Jordane already. Read aloud. She can try it multiple times. All right. Then for Tikisha, we only have 1 accommodation for Tikisha, which is extra time for each question. And then Xenia now. Xenia is one of our strongest students. She reads well on her own, and she's able to complete tasks within a set time, and therefore the accommodations will not be necessary for her. Once we're finished, we click Done. We give our assignment a title, Living Things, add a description, complete this fun assessment. We click Save. Lovely. Now our page here would be updated. If we go to Google Classroom, all right, we're now able to see the assignment up. Thank you for watching. All right, next slide. Now it's your turn to experience quizzes as a student. Using the join code provided, participate in this activity and explore the platform firsthand. As you complete the quiz, consider how your students might respond to this format and how it could support engagement, review, intervention, and assessment within your own classroom. Then we look at the results. Let's move to the next. Padlet supports universal design for learning by providing multiple ways for students to express their thinking. Students can contribute using text, images, audio recordings, videos, drawings, or uploaded files. This flexibility supports diverse learners, including students who are reluctant to speak in class, nonverbal students, and those who communicate more effectively through visuals or audio formats. Padlet creates a space where every student can participate meaningfully. Next slide, please. Let's experience Padlet together. As you post your responses, notice how quickly ideas can be shared, viewed, and celebrated. This type of participation encourages collaboration and ensures that all voices are represented. Many students think deeply, but may not always participate verbally. Padlet provides an alternative avenue for those students to share their ideas and perspectives. Let's move on to the next slide. Student engagement is not simply about keeping students busy or entertained. Students cannot learn from instructions that they cannot access. Engagement is the gateway to learning. Before students can comprehend, apply, analyze, evaluate, or create, they must first be engaged enough to attend to the learning experience. When students are engaged, they process information more effectively, retain concepts longer, and participate more actively. Engagement is the bridge between teaching and learning. Next slide, please. Each tool serves a different purpose within the learning process. Use ClassPoint during instruction when you need quick checks for understanding and active participation. Use quizzes for assessment, homework, review activities, intervention, and independent practice. Use Padlet for brainstorming, collaboration, reflection, discussion, student voice activities, and collecting ideas from the entire class. Choosing the right tool at the right time helps maximize student engagement and learning outcomes. Next slide, please. As we reflect on today's session, think about which tool aligns most closely with your teaching style and classroom needs. Consider one lesson, activity, or unit where you could realistically implement that tool during the first few weeks of the new school year. The goal is to leave with a clear and achievable next step. Next slide, please. You do not need to implement everything at once. Sustainable change happens through small, intentional steps. As you leave today, resist the urge to try everything at once. Choose one tool. Explore it over the summer. Become comfortable with it. Then begin the new school year with confidence. Small changes implemented well often have a greater impact than many changes implemented poorly. Next slide, please. Thank you for your participation and your commitment to your students throughout this school year. I hope today's workshop has provided practical tools, fresh ideas, and renewed inspiration for the year ahead. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ms. Latoya Honore, Head of the Special Education Needs Department at the Sir Novo Richards Academy, for that wonderful presentation on Google Classroom, specifically looking at enhancing student engagement. Yes, I would like you to give Miss Honoré a round of applause. And I also would like to open the floor for any questions from our participants in country in Antigua and Barbuda, as well as our participants online and our participants in St. Kitts and Nevis. The floor is yours.
Even though there were difficulties with technology, I really like your presentation. The one that says that includes persons who don't really have a voice and they're able to use technology to get words in, and also those that do differentiated instructions that can help those persons, especially those that have special needs that we're catering for. So this would be something that they could use, the different apps, and that would be commended in your part.
Okay, thank you so much for that feedback. Would you like to identify yourself?
Tulip Hughes Pell, special needs teacher.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pell. And now we have a contribution from Mrs. Maskell.
Yes, good afternoon again. I just want to take the time out to applaud what I'm seeing here today in terms of the Google Classroom and the many other avenues that Ms. Honoré would have pointed us down, you know, and to understand the fact that in an ordinary classroom, it is basically challenging to meet each student's need. And in a classroom with special needs students, it's even more challenging. And it is a space that a teacher has to be very much nimble. You know, you have to be agile. You have to be able to be creative in order for you to meet each child's need. Because ultimately, what we strive to achieve in education is that every learner succeeds. And so, you know, at times it becomes very bothersome, especially with the technology, as you're seeing here in terms of the internet connectivity. But I do believe that the strength lies with the teacher and the teacher's ability to really bring that differentiation in the classroom. So I just want to encourage, but I want to ask Ms. Honoré a question. As a special needs teacher, how challenging was it for you to get to where you are in terms of mastery?
Okay, Ms. Maskell, thank you so much for that question. And I think for me, it comes from love, right? You have to have that desire and that love to see students do well. And then you're going to push yourself to find all sorts of creative avenues to ensure that each learner in your classroom is accessible, that you're able to reach every single student and you're able to work with them, work with their parents, work with the other stakeholders that are involved to ensure that each child reaches and is able to attain their maximum. So for me, it starts with love.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
I haven't been in the classroom for a bit, but I do recall, pardon me? Oh, sorry, Melinda King, Curriculum Support Officer. As I said, I haven't been in the classroom for a bit, but I can recall during COVID, having students who before Google Classroom were struggling in the classroom. And you wonder why, because you can see the potential in those students, but they're just struggling. And it took COVID and the Google Classroom for me to recognize that these students struggled not because they weren't able to learn, but because there were so many distractions in the classroom that they just weren't picking up what they needed to pick up. And so I see the benefit in hybrid education, in bringing different tools into the classroom to not just motivate students, but to channel their learning. A lot of times they don't understand themselves that they have a blocker. They don't recognize that the environment that they're in is a distraction. And so bringing these tools into the classroom actually helps them.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. King. Okay, Ms. Phillip said there was a question in the chat. The question asks, can you speak to the importance of parents' involvement or support for students with learning difficulties or challenges? I mean, we can all agree that it is extremely important, right? The reality is many parents just don't know how to, right? And this is why it is important for us to give them that support that they need, right? Because in times gone by, we would say it takes a village, and we are all part of that village, right? It takes the teachers, it takes the parents, the student, and whatever other stakeholders or support that we can get to help for each child to succeed. So yes, parent support is definitely important. And many times what we have to do is call on them, let them know, yes, we understand, but encourage them to do their part. I hope that answers it. All right, I'm just searching for the next question. All right, is it easy for you to work with students where their parents are appreciative of what you are doing compared to the parents who are not involved or harsher word, they don't care? The reality is we have to decide for ourselves, are we doing it because we are looking for accolades at the end, or are we doing it because we want to see the children improve, right? And once we are able to identify that we are doing it for the betterment of the children, believe me, all those little things are just distractions and we're able to overcome, right? The focus should be on the children, the child, and ensuring that they're able to achieve their optimum at all times, regardless of the support or lack of support at home. I hope that helps. All right, have a good one, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ms. Honore, for those contributions. And for our participants in Antigua and Barbuda and online who have shared feedback. We are now seeing St. Kitts and Nevis on screen, and so before we move on to the next presenter, if there are any questions, please unmute and share your feedback with us. I'm seeing a hand, and I believe that hand is saying no questions. Is that correct? Can I get a thumbs up? Thank you very much. Okay, so I move now to invite our next presenter, who is Miss Laura Barnes.
Thank you very much for joining and participating in this Google Classroom training session. In this session, we'll be focusing on how we can use Google Classroom to foster and strengthen communication and real-time support and create a more inclusive and equitable learning experience for all students. The goal is to help us use the tools we already have in a more effective way, especially in remote learning environments. As we move through the session, I encourage you to think about your own classroom practice and how implementing these strategies might help you better meet the needs of your learners. Next slide, please. Now, this afternoon for our session objectives, we will be identifying Google Classroom tools that support real-time communication, explore how real-time communication supports inclusive instruction, practice using at least one tool for immediate feedback, and reflect on practical classroom applications. Next slide, please. Now, what is real-time communication? Real-time communication refers to interactions that happen during learning, where teachers can immediately clarify instructions, provide scaffolding, and respond to student needs as they arise, rather than waiting until after the work is submitted. This approach is especially important in inclusive classrooms because it allows teachers to adjust support in the moment, ensuring that learners do not fall behind or become disengaged. It helps make instruction more responsive, timely, and supportive of diverse learning needs. Next slide. Now, an instructional advantage of Google Classroom. Google Classroom supports more effective teaching and learning by enabling private one-to-one communication, allowing teachers to give discrete feedback and maintain student confidence. It also makes it easier to provide immediate targeted scaffolding so students receive timely support when they need it most. This helps keep learning on track without delays. Overall, these tools support more equitable learning by ensuring students get appropriate, timely, and respectful support within the learning process. With these features, equitable learning opportunities are created by providing support to students when needed, rather than expecting all students to learn the same way or at the same pace. Now, for the next slide, we will be looking at an overview of what I consider the Google Classroom tool belt. Here we have first private comments. In Google Classroom, this is a communication feature that allows teachers and students to interact directly within an assignment without the message being visible to the rest of the class. These comments appear on the assignment page and are only visible to the teacher and the individual student. This makes them especially useful for giving targeted feedback, clarification, or support during the learning process. For our next feature, we have the Stream Comments. Now, Stream Comments is the main communication feed for each class. It functions like a live bulletin board where teachers and students can see updates as they are posted. In the stream, you'll typically see things like teacher announcements, class updates or reminders, new assignments, if this is enabled in settings, and student or teacher comments on the different posts. Now we're going to move on to the Google Meet chat. This is a real-time communication feature that allows participants to send written messages during live virtual sessions. The Google Meet feature can be accessed in several ways, depending on how your school or classroom is set up within the Google Workspace. The most common place to locate Google Meet is directly inside Google Classroom. Now let's look at the notifications feature in Google Classroom. This is designed to meet students exactly where they're at inside of the platform, whether it's in their email, on their devices, so that nothing is missed or within the stream. Moving on to Google Docs or Google Slide comments. This is a key collaboration feature that allows teachers and students to communicate directly within a document or presentation. These comments appear alongside specific text, images, or slideshows, which make feedback contextual and precise. Instead of giving general feedback, teachers can highlight exactly where a student needs clarification, correction, or improvement. Now, for our next slide, we will be viewing our walkthrough of the Google Classroom features.
Welcome to this guided walkthrough of Google Classroom's communication features. In this video, we will explore the different tools available to help you connect and engage with your students effectively.
First, let's look at private comments. This feature allows for direct, one-on-one communication between you and an individual student within a specific assignment. To get started, navigate to the Classwork tab in your Google Classroom and select the assignment you would like to open. Once you have opened the assignment, you can click on Review Work to manage submissions and communicate with your student. On the student submission page, you will see a quote private comments section on the right side. This is where you can type feedback, offer guidance, or provide support to a student privately. Next, we have Stream Comments. The Stream tab is perfect for general class announcements and keeping your students informed about class updates. You can also provide feedback directly within documents. Let's see how to add comments to student work. When reviewing a document, highlight the text you want to comment on, right-click, and select Comment from the menu. After typing your feedback, simply click the Comment button to post it directly onto the document for the student to see. It is important to stay updated. Google Classroom sends notifications for class updates, assignments, and announcements. These notifications are typically sent directly to your email inbox, ensuring you never miss important communication from your class. For real-time interactions, you can utilize the Google Meet integration. Start by clicking Join on the Meet link provided in your classroom. Once you are in the meeting lobby, click Join Now to enter the live session with your students. Inside the meeting, you can use the chat feature to share resources, ask questions, and maintain communication with everyone present.
Now, I want you to think about this scenario. A student messages, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. You're teaching remotely. What is your first response? And identify which of these tools that we would have just discussed you would use to respond to this student. Now, let's look at it from an inclusion and accessibility lens. As educators, our goal is to create a learning space that is not only organized and efficient, but also responsive to all learners, including those who may require additional support, alternative formats, or flexible ways of engaging with content. This includes using built-in features such as captions, comments, differentiated assignments, and communication tools that support clarity and connection. Although we often think about these supports for students with identified needs, they benefit all learners. A reminder can help a student with ADHD, but it can also help a student who had a busy morning. Private feedback can support a student with anxiety, but it can also help any student who lacks confidence. Now, here we have our inclusion and accessibility table. As you can see, the table is divided into 3 sections. You have the student needs, the tools from Google Classroom, and the inclusive benefit of using these tools. So first, we're going to start with our student needs, where we see a student with attention difficulties. The tool that would cater to that need would be private comments, and the benefit of that tool, discrete support. Then we have processing challenges. We can use the doc comments to offer written feedback, and this gives a benefit of scaffolded feedback. A student with anxiety, we can use the private comments as well, and this again offers discrete support. Organization difficulties, we have notifications or reminders, and this supports executive functioning. Reluctant participation, we can use the Google Meet chat, and this provides the benefit of alternative voice. Next slide, please. Now, I want us to use these scenarios to complete the table with the same headings that in the same categories that I would have just identified. So for our first scenario, we have Leslie's a student who often forgets when assignments are due. He frequently misses deadlines because he does not consistently check the class page and becomes overwhelmed when multiple assignments are posted in the same week. His teacher notices that he completes work successfully when reminded, but struggles to keep track of tasks independently. So for the table, we're going to identify Leslie's need. We're going to identify the tool in Google Classroom that can be used to address Leslie's need. And then we're going to look at the inclusive benefit of using the tool. Now on to scenario 2. Now, Angel understands the content being taught, but rarely speaks during online lessons. She often appears nervous when called upon and avoids answering questions verbally. However, she regularly types thoughtful responses and questions during virtual classes when given the opportunity. So the same thing that we did for scenario 1, we're going to be doing the same thing for scenario 2. Identify the student need, look at the tool from Google Classroom that we could use to address this need, and identify the inclusive benefit. So I want you to, during your spare time, you practice using the Google Classroom and, complete the table, give it some thought, consider your own classroom environment, and use the content to complete the table. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, why this matters to all learners. These strategies support all learners and not just some students. When classrooms are clear and structured, students can access help more independently. This keeps learning moving and allows the teachers to support more students effectively and efficiently. Additionally, these tools encourage student engagement. When learners understand routines and expectations, they are more confident and more likely to stay actively involved in tasks, rather than waiting for repeated instruction. Support executive functioning skills is offered as many students benefit from help with organization, attention, and task completion. Clear steps, visuals, and predictable routines help them stay focused, manage tasks, and work more independently. Finally, this approach aligns with inclusive and responsive teaching practices. Instead of creating separate platforms for different learners, the classroom environment is designed so all students can access learning in meaningful ways and allows us as educators to respond to needs within the flow of instruction. Next slide. In closings, small adjustments in how Google Classroom is used can make a big difference in creating connection, clarity, and inclusion, especially in remote learning environments. While most educators are already familiar with the platform, the impact comes from using the platform intentionally to support student learning and success. How we structure posts, communicate expectations, and organize content. These small shifts help students feel more supported, reduce confusion, and improve access to learning. They also strengthen clarity by making instructions and resources easier to find, which is especially important when students cannot immediately ask for help. At the same time, they promote inclusion by reducing barriers for learners who struggle with organization, attention, or executive functioning. Overall, using the Google Classroom tools more intentionally offers much valuable support to all learners. Thank you very much.
We want to thank Miss Laura Barnes and Miss Latoya Honore, who made presentations today on enhancing student engagement and communicating remotely in real time. Please give them an additional round of applause for their contributions despite the technical difficulties. We want to take an opportunity to engage our colleagues in St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as our online participants, just to share a reaction, to let us know how they're feeling about the segment that has just recently concluded. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to pass the mic around in the room and to let us know by unmuting. We also welcome your comments, any feedback on the presentations, and what is happening in your country, if it is similar, if there are any differences, if there are any specific information that you might be learning. We are open also to hearing this feedback from you. Okay, we see in the chat a job well done to Laura, but to both of our presenters. Do we have any feedback in St. Kitts or online? Does anybody have a contribution that they would like to make by unmuting their microphone? We welcome you to do so before we move to the next and final segment of today's training workshop. Okay, well, we thank you all so much for your attention. And now we have come to the end of today's presentations. We will invite our presenters from the Enhancing Student Engagement and Communicating Remotely in Real Time presenters to take their leave. And we will invite our presenters for the Google Classroom Accessibility Features segment to make their way to the podium to be seated.